Assalamualaikum and hi to madam. So in this video I will present group A for the introduction. For the introduction, I will introduce the members of group A, which is my group, explain the topic of ethical issues on social media and the questions we will ask in the interview session. So let's check it out. For our group, we are group A and we had 6 group members in total, and I will introduce my group mate with their match number. So the first group members are of course me first. My name is Muhammad Athir bin Azri, DMS 20233. Muhammad Adam Muqrish bin Muhammad Afendy, DGD 201023. Muhammad Azri bin Ramlee, DIA 20203. Radin Iman, Nabil bin Radin Ariff, Taquiddin, DCS 192001. We have Amirul Iman, DIC 182007, and lastly Aisyahtul Liza binti Kamarudin, DIA 20202. And next, I will explain about the topic. And now, I will explain about our topic. The topic is about ethical issues on social media. So, what is ethical issues and what is media? This ethical issue is an issue, situation, and opportunity requiring an individual to choose among actions that may be evaluated as right or wrong, ethical or unethical. Well, this ethical issue is common to hear all over the country, and as we already know, the problem of this ethical issue is getting worse and more worse. In this age full of technology, regardless of age, young or all groups can be involved and exposed to this ethical issue if not taken care of properly. The media is a platform where all human beings do not care where they are and in which country they can communicate easily. Also, this media is very wise, vast, and connected to one world. Examples of media that can be seen are Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The problem of ethical issues in social media is often we can see in terms of what? In terms of negative comments, inappropriate ways of speaking, and about dress, and many more ethical issues that can be seen in our country. There is no need to look at distant country. It is enough for us to look in our country. Last but not least, I will show the questions that we are gonna ask in interview. The number of questions we provide for the interview session is 6 questions, which is the first question is as usual, we ask, can you introduce yourself? And second, do you think that ethics is important for the users of social media? Why? And third, how should we overcome ethical issues on social media? 4. How could we train ourselves to be ethical users of social media? Number 5. What are your thoughts on children and the younger generation that are exposed to ethical issues on social media? And the last question is, what are your hopes and advice for the next generation on social media ethics? And now, let's look at the individual content where Group A members will have an interview session.
Hello, my name is Aisyahtul binti Kamarudin. My meeting number is DIA 20202. Today, I will ask a few questions to random people in this part. Okay, my subject is MPU, Media and Society. Hello, I am Aisyah. I will ask a few questions about my subject, Media and Society. I will ask a random people about my question, okay? Okay? Miss, can I ask you a few questions about my subject, Media and Society? Yes, okay. Can you introduce yourself first, Miss?
Hai, boleh? Nama saya Nur Aina Sofia binti Abdul Samad. Saya berumur 26 tahun dan saya bekerja sebagai seorang kerani di kilang Anjung.
Okey, Cik Aina. Adakah anda berpendapat bahawa etika adalah penting kepada pengguna di media sosial? Dan kenapa?
Ya, saya berpendapat bahawa etika adalah penting untuk pengguna media sosial kerana dapat memupuk kesedaran orang ramai supaya menggunakan media sosial dengan sebaik mungkin serta dapat menyekat penyebaran kandungan yang berunsur prejudis terhadap kaum, agama, jantina seksual atau keganasan.
Bagi pendapat Cik Aina, bagaimanakah kita harus mengatasi masalah isu etika di media sosial?
Bagi pendapat saya, kita perlulah menunjukkan teladan yang baik atau memimpin usaha bagaimana menjadikan media sosial sebagai tempat perbincangan membina, sama ada di Facebook, Twitter atau jaringan media sosial yang lain. Kita juga perlulah mewar-warkan etika penggunaan media sosial ini di seluruh negara.
Okey, Cik Aina. Dalam soalan yang ketiga, pada pendapat Encik Aina, bagaimanakah kita boleh melatih diri kita untuk menjadi pengguna media sosial yang beretika?
Pada pendapat saya, kita boleh melatih diri kita untuk menjadi pengguna media sosial yang beretika seperti jangan kongsikan berita yang tidak sahih. Seterusnya ialah kita janganlah share sesuatu yang kita sendiri tidak sahih, tidak pasti. Jangan luahkan pendapat tanpa fikir perasaan orang lain. Oleh itu, niat untuk kongsi ilmu bukannya berita palsu. Sebar fakta, bukan dusta.
Okey, Cik Aina. Apakah pandangan Cik Aina terhadap kanak-kanak dan generasi muda yang terdedah kepada isu etika di media sosial pada ketika ini?
Pandangan saya ialah kanak-kanak dan generasi muda yang terdedah kepada isu etika di media sosial ini perlu pemantauan daripada ibu bapa agar mereka tidak menyebabkan ketagihan yang melampau terhadap media sosial. Selain dapat dilihat pendorong kepada pembentukan perilaku dan sikap agresif sehingga ada yang sanggup bertindak membunuh diri.
Okey, Cik Aina. Apakah harapan dan nasihat Cik Aina kepada generasi yang akan datang mengenai isu etika di media sosial?
Pada pendapat saya sangat berharap bahawa generasi yang akan datang akan lebih beretika dan beradab dalam menggunakan media sosial. Saya juga berharap agar buli cyber di negara ini menjadi semakin berkurangan. Saya juga menasihati generasi yang akan datang agar menggunakan bahasa yang lebih sopan semasa menggunakan media sosial agar tidak menyinggung perasaan orang lain di media sosial.
Okey, Cik Aina, itu sahaja soalan daripada saya. Terima kasih kerana sudi menjawab semua soalan saya tadi. Okey, Cik Aina.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Mohd Azri and my matching number is DMS202033. So in this video, I will be interviewing a 25 years old man about ethical issues on social media. So let's go.
Assalamualaikum, saya Muhammad Azri dari College IIC. Boleh tak saya nak buat sesi temu bual dengan Encik tentang isu etika media sosial?
Okey, boleh? Boleh.
Boleh. Okey, terima kasih kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama saya. Sebelum saya pergi ke soalan saya, boleh Encik perkenalkan diri?
Okey, nama saya Azri 25 tahun.
Okey, terima kasih dan boleh saya mulakan sesi temu bual ni?
Okey, boleh.
Okey, saya akan mula bertanyakan soalan. Jumlah soalan yang saya akan tanya adalah sebanyak 5 soalan tentang isu etika media sosial. Soalan yang pertama adalah, adakah Encik rasa etika masih perlu dijaga walaupun di dalam media sosial? Kenapa, Encik?
Pendapat saya, etika ni perlu dijaga dan sangat penting walaupun kita ni berada dalam media sosial. Ini disebabkan media sosial ni sangat luas dan ramai pengguna. Orang ramai juga akan menampak dan akan menilai etika kita, nampak nilai kita di media sosial. Jadi jika etika kita tak dijaga, ini akan membawa tak puas hati dengan semua orang. Etika yang tak dijaga juga dan tidak disukai oleh orang ramai dan berikutnya akan dikecam di media sosial.
Terusnya, soalan kedua, bagaimana untuk mengatasi isu etika dalam media sosial ni?
Okey, untuk menangani masalah ini di media sosial ialah kita akan bermula dengan influencer. Influencer ni dalam media sosial boleh membuatkan kempen atau memberikan kepada para pengguna media sosial di luar sana dan sentiasa memberikan kata-kata positif dengan cara sopan. Individu ini juga akan memainkan peranan untuk mengatasi isu ni dalam media sosial. Contohnya setiap individu ni wajib berfikir secara rasional dan semasa menggunakan di media sosial. Contohnya, perkara yang disebabkan di media sosial ni patut dinilai dengan lebih teliti dulu, mungkin sebabkan perkara yang disebabkan itu yang palsu dan tak sahih. Jadi, individu tu harus berfikir dengan rasional dan menganalisis dengan cara yang bijak. Okay.
Soalan ketiga, bagaimana untuk melatih diri kita sebagai pengguna media sosial yang lebih beretika?
Saya sendiri sebagai pengguna, cara saya untuk melatih diri saya ialah pengguna media sosial dengan lebih beretika dan dengan betul. Dan dengan cara ialah mendisiplin diri. Dengan cara ini, kita boleh mengabaikan dengan perkara-perkara yang salah dan tak elok dengan media sosial. Dan juga saya juga mendisiplinkan diri agar tidak mengeluarkan kata-kata yang negatif dan tidak sopan dalam media sosial. Kita juga boleh berfikir dulu sebelum membuat status di media sosial. Sebelum kita membuat status di media sosial, kita juga boleh bertanya kepada hati dan guna akal fikiran dalam masa singkat. Jika rasanya status itu tidak bermanfaat dan negatif, kita boleh elakkan membuat sedemikian.
Okay, soalan yang keempat, apakah pendapat Encik tentang kanak-kanak yang belum matang dan generasi muda yang terdedah kepada masalah isu etika dalam media sosial ni?
Okey, pada pendapat saya, kanak-kanak zaman sekarang ni sangat terdedah dengan media sosial. Contohnya seperti YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok dan sebagainya lah. Jadi semua anggota keluarga ni rasa sangat takut jikalau anak-anak ni terlibat dengan masalah etika dalam media sosial. Kalau kita dapat lihatkan, terdapat ramai negatif komen dalam media sosial ni sebab negara kita ni semakin teruk. Dalam golongan yang terlibat dalam kes ni dalam toksik media sosial ni adalah biasanya dalam golongan kanak-kanak. Biasanya kanak-kanak yang belum matang atau dalam istilah Inggeris automated, mereka ni tak berfikir panjang dulu sebelum melakukan perkara apa-apa dulu. Sepatutnya anggota keluarga ni perlu memberi anak-anak mereka bersedia dan matang dulu dan sentimental dan etika sebelum terlibat dalam media sosial. Ibu bapa juga perlu memainkan peranan sendiri untuk membendung gejala ini bagi dalam golongan kanak-kanak ni dan generasi muda.
Soalan terakhir, apakah harapan Encik dan nasihat Encik untuk generasi akan datang dalam etika media sosial ni?
Harapan saya untuk generasi akan datang dalam etika media sosial ialah sentiasa berjaga diri, sentiasa juga mendisiplinkan diri. Jadilah pengguna media sosial yang bijak. Beretika ni orang cakap sangat luas dari segi pemakaian dan sebagainya. Jadi ini sangat penting bagi menjaga etika yang baik dalam media sosial untuk membawa pengaruh yang baik generasi muda. Selain itu juga generasi akan datang ni perlu menyemai akhlak yang sopan dan kepribadian tinggi secara realiti dan secara maya dan segi media sosial.
Itu sahaja soalan yang saya ingin bertanyakan kepada Encik. Saya ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Encik kerana sudi meluangkan masa dengan saya. Jadi dengan ini, sesi temu bual kita sudah tamat dan saya ingin terima kasih lagi kepada Encik. Okay, terima kasih Encik.
Assalamualaikum, nama saya Muhammad Azri bin Ramlee daripada International Islamic College. Izinkan saya untuk interview Puan untuk assignment subjek saya iaitu Media and Society. Sebelum tu, boleh Puan perkenalkan diri, apa nama Puan dan umur Puan?
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nama saya Aziza binti Samsudin. Okay, umur saya dalam 52 tahun.
Okay. Soalan pertama saya, pada pendapat Puan, Puan rasa etika dan sebab ini penting tak dalam penggunaan sosial media? Dan kenapa Puan rasa macam tu?
Okay, pada pendapat saya rasa etika dalam media sosial ni sangat penting. Sebab semua orang akan akses dalam media sosial ni. Ramai orang akan tengok apa yang kita akseskan tu. Sama ada orang tu yang kita kenali dan ada juga orang yang kita tak kenali. Di mana kalau orang-orang yang kita tak kenali tu, jika kita tidak ada sikap etika dalam media ni kan, mereka akan timbul rasa macam tak puas hati ataupun rasa negatif, persepsi yang negatif je lah yang terhadap kita. Jadi kita ni tanpa sedari mereka akan menimbulkan suasana yang tak bagus lah. Jadi bagi saya perlu ada nilai etika di dalam setiap media sosial ni.
Okay. Soalan seterusnya, macam yang kita tahu, zaman sekarang ni penggunaan sosial media yang berhemah ataupun adab semasa menggunakan sosial media ni semakin kurang kita nampak kan. Macam bahasa-bahasa yang tak sepatutnya kita guna kan. Pada pendapat Puan, apa yang kita boleh buat untuk atasi isu ni?
Okey, bagi saya kerajaan lah patut memainkan peranan yang penting dalam soal ini. Juga pihak pencipta media sosial ni sendiri, mereka mampu mengatasi masalah ini dengan apa kata, mereka boleh menyekat perkataan itu daripada terkeluar ataupun tersebar secara meluas.
Perkataan yang tak elok lah kan?
Maknanya kita boleh blok siap-siap tanpa benda tu berluas-luasan. Jadi benda tu tak akan sampailah kepada masyarakat. Sebelum orang akan tahu benda tu, kita dah blok siap-siap. Cara ni, jadi kita dapat menyekat lah daripada gejala tu lebih terus ataupun tak elok kan, sampai kepada masyarakat.
Okey, tu dari segi usaha kerajaan ataupun umum kan. So, sekarang ni macam mana dengan diri sendiri? Diri kita sendiri ni. Macam mana, apa yang kita boleh praktikkan dalam diri kita untuk beretika dalam sosial media?
Bagi saya, sebelum kita hendak melakukan ataupun menghantar sesuatu quote ke ataupun berkata ke, bercakap ke kan, kita naklah fikir 2-3 kali apakah perkataan kita itu akan mendatangkan mendatangkan yang benda yang tak elok ke, betul ke dari segi penerimaan orang kan. Jadi dari segi dari situ kita akan mengelakkan daripada benda tu akan tiba-tiba akan terhantar ataupun tersilap ke kan. Dan bila kita post pula gambar-gambar pun, kita tengoklah, janganlah kita post benda yang nampak tak sopan kan. Kita hantarlah yang okey kan. Jadi bila orang komen kita pun, mereka akan komen yang elok kan, tak adalah yang negatif akan timbul kan. Jadi benda ni akan mendatangkan kebaikan lah. Itu adalah salah satu tanggungjawab dan kita pada diri kita dan masyarakat lah.
Okey, soalan seterusnya, apa pendapat Puan tentang kanak-kanak yang dari kecil lagi dah didedahkan dengan sosial media ni, dan ada juga yang terlibat dalam masalah ethical issue ni. So apa yang Puan rasa terhadap isu ni?
Dari pendapat saya, kanak-kanak tu haruslah patut didedahkan kepada sosial secara bersemuka, macam berinteraksi dengan kawan-kawan mereka. Dan kalau boleh kurangkan penggunaan gadget itu dalam pembesaran anak-anak, supaya mereka secara tidak langsung ibu bapa itu sendiri akan dapat membendung lah anak-anak tu dari gejala-gejala yang tak elok, sama ada yang dari segi media sosial tu ataupun apa yang mereka tengok kan. Kita akan dapat blok benda-benda yang tak elok dari segi semua dari sejak dia orang kecil lagi lah. Walaupun mereka nak kan, kalau kita nak bagi mereka tengok pun, kita guide lah dia orang benda tu supaya mereka dapat benda yang positif saja. Jadi yang negatif tu dia orang takkan dapat tengok awalnya kan. Sebab kita lah ibu bapa perlu ada lah untuk guide mereka dan meluangkan masa lebih lagi dan sekerapnya untuk mereka. Jadi anak-anak tu akan selamat lah, insyaAllah.
Okey, soalan yang terakhir, apa nasihat dan harapan Puan kepada generasi yang akan datang tentang etika sosial media ni?
Tempat saya, sekiranya kita dah kecil lagi dah melentur bulu, orang katakan, pepatah kata melentur bulu itu biarlah dari rebungnya. Maknanya kita sebagai ibu bapa, kita yang akan guide mereka dari kecil, akan memberitahu yang mana yang elok, yang mana yang tak elok pada mereka ni, supaya mereka tahu benda tu okey, dari segi ni boleh, dari segi ni tak boleh. Jadi dari situ kita akan dapat pantau mereka dari kecil lagi, supaya mereka pun dapatlah dapat membendung gejala yang tak elok dari kecil dan seawalnya, insyaAllah. Sebab media sosial ni bukan sahaja menjadi medan ilmu kan untuk kita semua, tapi dia memberi manfaat untuk kita semua sekiranya benda tu betul cara yang kita sama-sama
gunakan
menjadi peranan kita sebagai orang awam lah. InsyaAllah.
Okey, setakat ini sajalah saya punya interview. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih sebab sudi luangkan masa dengan saya. Saya rasa ini setakat ini sajalah. Terima kasih Puan. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih juga.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Aiman.
Can you introduce yourself, like your name and position?
Okay, no problem. My name is Associate Professor Dr. Aida Mokhtar. I'm a lecturer at the Department of Communication at the International Islamic University Malaysia.
Okay. Next question. Do you think that ethics is important for the user of social media? Then why?
Okay, now what is ethics? Ethics is a system of moral principles. So ethics defines what is right and what is wrong. So the thing is, when you talk about the users of social media, we talk about, whether ethics is important for the users of social media. It means whether users of social media should be, using users of social media should be using social media in an ethical manner. Yeah. So the thing is, of course, they need to use it in an ethical manner. We need to link ethics to the users of social media, right? Which means that they need to use it in the right way. So what does it mean? It means that it recognizes that when we use social media in an ethical manner, it could bring us harm. Yeah. And when we use social media in an ethical manner, it means that we prevent it from bringing harm to us. Okay. And social media can have effects on our behaviors and on our perception of how we see the world, isn't it? Right? It can make us violent, or it can make us depressed. So this is why we need to use it in the right way. Okay, so we need to use social media carefully, right? Because of the effects, the harmful effects it may bring, right? So what's the next question?
Okay, next question is, how should we overcome ethical issues on social media?
Right. So there are several ethical issues on social media, like fake news, like pornographic postings, like cyberbullying. Yeah. And the thing is, when we have ethical issues like fake news and postings that are pornographic, yeah, they are sexually explicit, yeah, they have sex appeals, and then we are bullied, isn't it, yeah, on social media by being excluded, or by being called names, isn't it, by being ridiculed on social media. What we need to do is we need to report these issues to the social media platforms so that the offensive content will not be shown to the public anymore. And people can believe in fake news. For example, they can be watching content that is not appropriate even. And this is not very good when people believe in fake news, for example, yeah? Or suddenly they watch a video that's pornographic, right? They can also be bullied on social media, and they may get, depressed and even commit suicide. So how we overcome these ethical issues on social media is to report them to the social media platforms, right? And you could also report them to CMCF, or the Communication and Multimedia Content Forum of Malaysia. So this is also something that we can do. We can report to them and somehow get them to do something, right? So what's our next question?
Okay, next question. How could we train ourselves to be ethical users of social media?
How could we train ourselves to be ethical users of social media? We need to practice media literacy. Yeah. So what is important to understand is that media literacy is not about protecting kids from unwanted messages, according to this website by the Center of Media Literacy in the US. We don't stop children, for example, or we don't stop ourselves from watching unwanted messages or unethical messages. What we do is we train ourselves to analyze, to evaluate, and also to create and share messages, okay, which are ethical. And because we must understand that the media's role in society is very important, right? And we need to deal with it by, basically, we need to scrutinize media content, isn't it? Yeah. So that's how we train ourselves. We need to scrutinize, we need to examine media content, we need to analyze, we need to evaluate, we need to also create messages that are appropriate, yeah, for the media. And we need to ask ourselves whether or not the media content is true. We need to report media content that is not ethical, and we need to the authorities, yeah, whether it's CMCF and also the social media platforms themselves, right? Because we can basically report them. And we need to also ourselves not spread pornographic videos, or we shouldn't be any other postings, and we shouldn't spread fake news, isn't it, to others. That's all I've got to say about that.
That's good. Next question is, what are your thoughts on children and the younger generation that are exposed to ethical issues on social media?
Right. Now, for children to have their own social media accounts, they have to be 13. This is for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, and also for TikTok. Yeah. They need to be at least 13 years old, right? So children younger than 13 years old should not really be having these social media accounts, should not really be opening these social media accounts. Now, according to a website, which is which is known as genomind.com blog. It's a blog. It talks about how social media may affect children's mental health. And children basically, there are pros and cons to children using social media. And the pros of using social media can include, basically they can express their creativity in a lot of different forms. They can organize or participate in a movement for causes that they care about, yeah, that they like, yeah. They can be involved in movements online on social media for causes, yeah, for issues that they care about. They can also link, isn't it? They can get more friends on Facebook, for example, on Instagram, yeah. They can get lots of followers, they can make lots of friends, and then they can volunteer in programs, and they can also connect with their classmates to complete school assignments. But there are also bad things, or the cons of social media for children. And this is something that we need to be aware about, yeah? Now, the cons are like cyberbullying. Yeah, children may experience cyberbullying, and this is not very nice. They may be addicted to their phones. Yeah, and then they may also get increased worry and depression, and then they may also, get not get enough sleep. Right, it can disrupt sleep because you're addicted. The children may find it difficult to relax, to fall asleep, and to stay asleep. And then they can have mental health problems such as depression, impulsive behavior. They can have anxiety, and their cognition, the way they think, their thinking skills is also affected. So they need to be taught media literacy too, and identify content that is not appropriate. They need to analyze the content that they see. And this is something which is also very important for children as well as adults, right? Children and the young generation could be exposed to ethical issues on social media, and they need to report to the social media platforms, or, as I've said, to CMCF, the Communications and Multimedia Content Forum of Malaysia. And they also, basically, according to a website called Common Sense Media, right, which is Common Sense is a US non-governmental organization, right? It mentioned that as parents, we need to talk with our children about media literacy when we teach them, or even to the younger generation. So we need to get them to question, who created the message, the social media postings, Was it a company that created it, or was it an individual? Now, why did this company or this individual make this message? Right? Why did it come up with this posting? Yeah. And then who is this message for? Is it for children? Is it for girls? Is it for boys? Is it for adults? And why is it it is for girls or boys or adults? Why is the message like that? And what techniques are being used to make this message credible or believable? Does it have statistics from a reputable source? Yeah. Is it credible? Does it have expert advice? Right? Does it have good evidence, trustworthy evidence? Okay, so this is something that we need to ask our children to think about, or the younger generation to think about when they look at social media messages, right? And then also ask what details were left out and why, right? Does it present both sides, or is it just one side of the information that is presented? Only one view, one side, only the bad things and not the good things. How did the message make you feel, right? And do you feel, would everyone feel the same, or would certain people disagree with you? So how do you feel about the message? Do you agree with the message or not, right? So these are some of the questions that you can ask as parents when you teach children media literacy. Children and the younger generation, really. Okay.
Okay, good, Dr. Mokhtar. Next question is, what are your hopes and advice for the next generation on social media ethics?
Okay. I hope that the next generation would be taught better in terms of media literacy in classrooms, and they could be trained later as they grow up, isn't it? Yeah. So as children, they could be accessing different media content. So they need to, or social media content. So they need to be taught, to scrutinize, to analyze, to examine, and to create appropriate social media content, right? Perhaps in primary, they should be taught. In secondary, they should be taught at least once for each part of the schooling, and then they need to be taught as they grow older in university as well, in so that in college, so that they are better at identifying the right and wrongs of social media content, the ethical social media content, what is unethical about it, yeah. And when they're taught about this, then they become better users of the media, and we wouldn't have, anxiety as parents, right? In terms of getting worried all the time about what they're watching, yeah. We could put parental controls on the devices, isn't it? We could somehow program it, yeah, and then make them, control the to a certain extent the content that they could be watching. But until when, we are supposed to be doing this? We could do it when they're younger, but as they can get, yeah, when they come to the age of 13, when they can have their own social media accounts, then this is going to be like a bit of a problem. I mean, you can't really control them in the same way that you control younger children. So the thing is, it would be better to teach them, to train them from a younger age in terms of media literacy, how to use, what is social media ethics, what is right and what is wrong in terms of social media usage and social media messages, right? So that they become more responsible as human beings, yeah, in their use of social media. That's what I've got to say about question 6.
Okay, thank you for answering my questions.
No problem, Ayman. I wish you all the best for your assignment. All right? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Bye-bye.
Hola.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having with us. Can you introduce yourself, your name, and your position?
My position is my name is Azri. I am the father of Amirul Iman.
So, okay, so there are 6 questions that I want to ask. Number one, do you think that ethics is important for the user social media? Why?
Ethics
in social media for users. Why?
Oh, I think it's very important. Yes, it's very, very important, because ethics means basically you are not supposed to be rude. You have to say the right things, or that kind of thing. It's very important. Yes, it is very important.
Okay, how should we overcome ethical issue on social media?
I think we as parents have to basically advise our children, and also the teachers also have to do the same thing, advise the students how to do, what to do and what not to do, on that kind of thing.
So then the third question is, how could we train ourselves? How could we train ourselves to be ethical user on social media?
How could we train?
How could we train ourselves?
By doing the right things, by not really basically reliving the bad thing. What is the not? Do not reveal the basically.
Not reveal any bad things,
any bad things, any personal things, any family thing which is basically personal. Person like me also, like your mother also, we don't have any social media. We didn't basically post anything in social media.
Okay, what are your thoughts on children and the younger generation that are exposed to ethical issues on social media?
Well, we are basically, my generation, I'm 59 years old, so I would think that this is very alarming and very something that we are very, very concerned of, because nowadays children are saying, or young people are saying, because they are not really reliving their true self. Sometimes I don't know. I'm very concerned and I am very, very worried.
So the last thing is, what are your hopes and advice for the next generation on social media user?
I just hope that the next generation or the young generation will do the social media for the good deeds, good things, rather than bad things like dakwah. And that other people think about good things, helping people or that kind of thing. Not all social media are bad, but basically it's bad because we do not know how to use it properly. It can be a good thing though.
I think these are all that benefits information. Thank you for our readers that. So I hope to see that.
Thank you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is Muqrish. I am from AR Marketing Company. So currently I am doing research about ethical issues of social media. So can you introduce yourself?
Waalaikumsalam. My name is Afida Dali. I am a housewife.
Alright. So here is my first question. Do you think that ethics is important for the users of social media?
For my opinion, yes. It is really important for the user on media social to behave correctly.
Okay. So how should we overcome ethical issues on social media?
We should follow the media social platform guidelines. We must follow the social acts that provided by our country.
Okay. So how about how could we train ourselves to be ethical users of social media?
Think before act. Anything that we post, anything that we up in the media social platform, we must think first. We must know the effect that come after our behavior.
All right. And what are your thoughts on children in the younger generation that are exposed to ethical issues on social media?
They will have major depression, major mental health problem such as depression, stress, low self-esteem, open to the cyberbullying, tend to body shaming others, face shaming, and etc.
Alright, so here is my final question. What are your hopes and advice for the next generation on social media ethics?
I hope our young generation will use wisely with the media social platform that they have, such as TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Then they know they should know the effect after they do something unethical on media social.
Okay. Thank you very much for your cooperation in this interview, Ms. Afida.
Welcome.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Azri bin Ramlee, and my metric number is DIA202003, and I will do the conclusion part for all the interviews that my group did. So I will explain question by question. So the question one is, do you think that ethics is important for the users of social media, and why? Okay, all of the interviewee agreed that ethics is important in social media because of, I will state the reason. Okay, the first reason is everyone uses social media, so everything that we share on social media will give either good or bad perception toward us. So if your behavior is good, so the perception toward us is good lah, and otherwise. The second reason is ethics is important to prevent harm to us, like cyberbullying, pornography, and fake news. That's ethics is important because social media is not the place that we should be rude, and why not we show ethics and shows a good image. Next question is question 2 is how should we overcome ethical issues on social media? Okay. So this I will state the way that we can overcome the ethical issue. Mostly the answer is the same, and I will just compile the answer. The first one is we should be a role model in social media by showing ethical behavior in public. Second, an influencer should be a role model by using proper language and contents. Third, as a user, we should analyze information once we get and we read on social media whether it's authentic or not. Fourth, if there any ethical issue on social media, we should report to the authorities about the offensive content in social media, so the authorities will take the action. Fifth, government and creators social media should play as important role by blocking the offensive content. This is one of the example the action that the authorities can do to overcome the ethical issue. Six, a parent and teacher should guide the children by telling them what is wrong and not in social media. The third question is how could we train ourselves to be ethical users of social media? This one also I just list down the ways lah. Based on the interviews, the first one is don't share the invalid or authentic news and information, because we are not sure about how the truthness about the information. So rather than you share to everyone, better you just analyze, then evaluate whether it's true or not. The second, we should think wisely before do something like posting video and photo, whether the interpretation from people will good or bad. If bad, better we not proceed to posting the video or photos lah. Third, we should use proper language in social media. Fourth, upload proper image like cover our genitals. This is somehow relate to think wisely before do something. Okay, fifth, apply media literacy, which is we should analyze and evaluate the content in social media. Sixth, don't reveal our personal information through social media. So it is because we afraid that everyone will take the advantage toward us by knowing our personal information. Question 4, what are your thoughts on children and the younger generation that are exposed to ethical issues on social media? This answer is according to the interviewee. Okay, the first interviewee said parents should monitor their children to avoid addicted to social media. Second interviewee, children mostly exposed by social media and they left negative comments because they are immature to think wisely for posting something. The third interviewee said children should be more exposed to face-to-face interaction by lessen the usage of gadget in the growth of children. For interviewee said the minimum age to have a social media account is above 13 years old. So under than that, children are illegal to have an account. We are afraid that the children under 13 years old will will have to face the consequences such as cyberbullying, pornography, and something like that. The last interviewee said, "This is serious, and we have to concern about because children not represent their true self in social media." Okay, the last question that we asked to the interviewee, what are your hopes and advice for the next generation on social media ethics? Okay, the first one, everyone should be aware about ethical issue. Second, users should use proper language in social media and take care of ourselves. Third, apply good attitudes while using social media. Fourth, parents should teach their children by guiding them about ethics. Fifth, media literacy should be teaching from the younger age, which is media literacy is about the evaluate and analyze the information that we get from social media. Six, as a user, we should use social media for good things, so we could represent a good image in social media. I think that's all that my group get from the interview. So that's all from